Have you ever stayed in a relationship longer than you should have, hoping love could heal the pain, the criticism, and the loneliness? As we grow older, many of us long for companionship, understanding, and warmth. But sometimes, in the search for love, we slowly lose ourselves. Before we begin, welcome to After 60 Life Wisdom, a place where we share stories, lessons, and reflections to help you navigate life with dignity, peace, and purpose. If these conversations speak to your heart, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss a new video. And as you listen today, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments, because your experiences may encourage someone else who is silently struggling. This is not simply a story about romance. It is a story about self-respect, about the quiet pain of feeling unseen, and about the courage it takes to walk away from something that slowly destroys your spirit. At first, the relationship felt like a miracle. The elderly man had spent years believing the best part of life was behind him. Then suddenly, someone came along who made him feel alive again. She praised him constantly. She admired his wisdom, his maturity, his calm presence. Her words reignited something inside him that had been asleep for years. For the first time in a long while, he felt desired, important, needed. He poured his heart into the relationship. He gave his time, his energy, and his devotion freely. He wanted to make her happy. He believed love required sacrifice, patience, and understanding. But slowly, the tone began to change. At first, the comments were subtle. She criticized small things: his appearance, his habits, his energy level. She disguised insults as jokes and disrespect as honesty. She reminded him of his age more and more often. "You're too sensitive. You're slowing down. You should try harder." Each comment seemed small on its own, but over time, they became wounds that never fully healed. The man began doubting himself. He stopped seeing his age as wisdom and started seeing it as weakness. He no longer felt valued. He felt tolerated. Yet he stayed. Why? Because many people confuse endurance with love. They believe that if they just try harder, give more, or sacrifice enough, the relationship will improve. But toxic love creates invisible chains. It keeps people trapped between hope and pain. Sometimes she showed affection again, just enough to keep him holding on. She would praise his kindness, his loyalty, and his care. Those rare moments of warmth became addictive. They convinced him that things might return to how they once were. But deep inside, he was fading. One evening, after another painful argument, he sat alone in silence. The house was quiet, but his mind was loud with sadness and exhaustion. He walked to the mirror and stared at his reflection. For the first time in years, he truly looked at himself. He saw the wrinkles on his face, the gray in his hair, the tiredness in his eyes. But he also saw something else. A man who had survived hardship, loss, responsibility, and decades of life experience. Those wrinkles were not signs of failure. They were proof of endurance, proof of wisdom, proof of a life fully lived. And suddenly he realized something powerful. Love should never require you to abandon your dignity. No relationship is worth losing your self-respect. That night changed everything. The next day, he sat down with her calmly. There was no shouting, no anger, just honesty. He explained how deeply the criticism had hurt him, how the relationship had slowly eroded his confidence. He told her he could no longer live in a place where he constantly felt inadequate. And then, with quiet strength, he made the hardest decision of his life. He walked away. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. For the first time in years, he chose himself. The days that followed were difficult. Loneliness arrived quickly. The silence in the house felt heavy. He missed companionship, conversation, and simple routines shared with another person. But something surprising began to happen. The loneliness he felt after leaving was different from the loneliness he felt inside the relationship. Inside the relationship, he felt invisible. Outside of it, he finally felt free. Slowly, he began rebuilding his life. He reconnected with old friends. He returned to hobbies he had abandoned years earlier. He traveled, read books, walked in nature, and rediscovered the simple joys he had forgotten. And most importantly, he stopped asking others to define his worth. He realized that aging is not something to apologize for. Society often glorifies youth and makes older people feel invisible. But age is not a weakness. It is evidence of resilience, wisdom, survival, and growth. Every wrinkle carries a story. Every gray hair reflects experience. Every scar represents a lesson learned. The man finally understood that true love begins with self-respect. If someone truly loves you, they will not constantly humiliate you, diminish you, or make you feel less than. Real love creates safety, not insecurity. Peace, not anxiety. And perhaps the most important lesson of all was this: solitude is far better than losing yourself in the wrong relationship. Many people fear being alone, especially later in life, but there is a difference between being alone and being emotionally abandoned while sitting beside someone. Sometimes solitude becomes sacred. It becomes the place where healing begins. In that quiet space, the man rediscovered who he truly was. Not through another person's approval, but through his own acceptance. And that changed everything. If this story speaks to your heart, take a moment and ask yourself, have you ever stayed somewhere that slowly destroyed your peace? Have you ever ignored your own worth just to avoid being alone? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story may help someone else feel less alone today. And if you found comfort, wisdom, or encouragement in this message, please support After 60 Life Wisdom by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who may need to hear these words. Remember this: it is never too late to reclaim your dignity, never too late to choose peace, and never too late to love yourself enough to walk away from what no longer honors your soul. Thank you for spending this time with us, and we'll see you again in the next journey here on After 60 Life Wisdom.